Okay, we're doing it. Guys, I'm so excited. Okay, welcome to Movies and the People That Love Them. My name's Emma. I'll be your host for this brand new, never been done before podcast. Most people listening at this point in time probably know exactly who I am because it's like probably my mom and my dad and maybe like 5 other people. So, hey guys. If I have ever talked to you for like literally more than 10 seconds at a time, you probably know a couple things about me. Number one, my dog Dash is my soulmate. And believe it or not, this is not Dash, but I do love her deeply also. This is Nova. She's our family dog. Dash is sleeping on the floor elsewhere. That's the first thing. The second thing is I love movies so much. Like so much more than I can say, and we'll get into it. But I'm sure stories about Dash will make their appearance because I can't shut up about my dog. But this podcast is not called Emma Loves Her Dog Named Dash. So I promise to mostly stick to movies as much as I can. As a small disclaimer, I am so brand new to this. It's crazy. And I have little to no idea what I'm doing. So I hope you'll be patient with me as I figure this all out. It's already been quite the journey. I have had to have my brother like help me figure out all the tech things. So shout out to McKay. Thank you so much. There's already been several things that have gone crazy that I haven't expected. I don't know. It's just been a whole thing. So we're here. Nothing's perfect. And that's okay. It doesn't have to be. But I'm really excited to get started. That's the best place to start anyways, rather than waiting for things to be perfect, you know? So yeah, be patient with me as I know I will stumble over words. I'm not the most well-spoken girl in the world. I know there's going to be times when I don't know how to say how I'm feeling or how to articulate things. And again, I'm not a very techie girl, but I don't really feel like re-recording things. So I'll do my best, but bear with me, friends. I promise it's going to be good. And I promise I'll get better at this. And I also promise that every other episode will be more exciting and kind of just like more conversational than this one. I'm obviously by myself today. This is the first episode. And so I'm sure I'll do like solo episodes here and there, but most, if not all of the episodes from here on out will be with a guest. And I'll explain like the concept and everything. I'm so excited about it. But I just know that the people that I talk to and whatever guests I have on the show will be the heart and soul of this little podcast. I have my notes here. This is I feel like I'm giving like a speech or a talk or something. I promise not to like read off of them, but I just want to make sure I don't miss anything and that I don't ramble too far. So here we go. Let's get started. Yeah. Okay. I'm so excited. So first thing first, I've always had like kind of a general appreciation for movies, I would say. I'd say like my whole life, but I feel like generally I've always enjoyed a good flick. It wasn't until 2017-ish I had, I swear, like a spiritual awakening when it came to movies. And I'll get to that again, all in good time. I just had a spiritual awakening that, I don't actually like just enjoy watching movies or like going to the movies, not just like a fun thing to do, but they're like my favorite art form, my favorite hobby. And it was just kind of around then that it happened. And I just generally can't get enough. So there are several reasons why I feel this way, why I feel so strongly. I'll touch on them here briefly. But before I get to what this podcast is really going to be about, I'll touch on them because I promise this isn't another kind of just movie review podcast, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but that's just not why I'm here personally. And not what this is going to be about. So first reason is I love how much movies are such a deeply collaborative art form. They're so singular in the way that they really can't be made solo. And I shouldn't say can't because there's so many exceptions. There's exceptions to that for sure. But in general, when we think of movies, especially like kind of big studio things, it's with people. People make them with each other, and there's so many people who work on them. There are people working with their singular gifts and that they individually excel at in their own right. Editors and the actors and gaffers and set consultants and production assistants, directors, like it's all these people coming together and bringing their talents together to make something that is meant to be enjoyed by the masses. And I love that so much. I just think the craft alone of how movies are made are such a feat, and they just really deserve to be celebrated in that way. So that's the first reason. Number two, movies consistently give me new things to look forward to. Maybe this is a little cheesy, but it's true. There are release dates that are literally always coming out. There are always new trailers that tease a story that is coming out that I cannot wait to experience in 4 months, 6 months, like whenever it's coming out. Really basically in a world that is consistently stressful, overwhelming, unjust often, full of turmoil in many ways, especially in recent years. Movies make me genuinely excited to be alive, and that means something. I don't care where you get that from. Everyone needs to feel that and should feel that, and for me, at least one of the ways that I feel that is movies. And in like the past few years, during some of my like roughest and lowest moments, again, this sounds a little cheesy, not to get too serious on the first episode, but like in some of my lowest moments, those have been the only things keeping me going. And Ash, obviously. But knowing that a movie was coming out that I was so excited for kept me going, kept me excited. The theater is also kind of a spiritual experience for me, honestly. I saw a TikTok or a tweet or something that recently talked about how movies are kind of like one of the only communal art spaces that we have left, and I just thought that was very true. They're similar to museums where we get a showcase, where art is showcased and shown and we get to enjoy it alongside other people. And again, I think that's kind of a dying art form, and I think that's so important because of the hellscape, especially that streaming platforms are right now. Theaters are dying, so I can't express the importance of that enough. So that's another reason. Movies give me something to look forward to and something to be excited about. Another thing about this podcast is I am a really fast talker. So I'm going to really work on chilling out and slowing down. Not so much that it's going to be annoying to listen to, but I just need to remember to slow down. It's fine. It's fine. Number 3 of reasons I love movies so much. Like all art, of course, they have purpose and they have meaning that is so much deeper than is realized at surface level, and like are so often used to help us learn things, or we learn things about ourselves or the world around us through art. Really and truly, I would not be the person that I am today and have the values that I have and the beliefs that I have and just the standards that I hold so dear without the things that I've learned from movies and this perspective that I've gained from movies. Few other mediums, and again, I'm not gonna say no other mediums, but at least to me, few other mediums kind of allow us to experience perspectives as vast and as varied in such an in-depth way as movies do. So for the next, I'm watching a movie myself. Because for, when you're watching a movie for the next 2 hours and however many minutes of runtime, you can like actually honestly like experience a different life, and you can see new things and just feel new things. And I know that that's not exclusive to movies. Books do that and other art forms do that, but it is a rare experience, I think. And for me, I feel that really, really deeply with movies. I always say this, but I'm always so moved at how moved I can feel by watching people literally playing pretend on a screen, because like really when it comes down to it, that's what movies are, is people playing pretend, and acting, and I get to watch it and to feel some of the things that I feel because of that is so amazing to me. It's just so cool. And I also love, I don't know if this is like adjacent to that or a whole separate reason. I also love how deeply and how differently movies can affect us at different times in our lives. And again, not exclusive to movies, but I think that's true, especially for me. There's so many movies where like my opinion of them has totally shifted based on what I'm dealing with in my life at that time that I rewatched it, and how my experiences now are informing that particular viewing. I just love that. Oh, I love movies. So there's a few reasons, like I said, why movies have become really, really, really integral and such an important part of my life. Another thing that I love, this is kind of like part two of just the general concept of this podcast and what the show's going to be. But another thing I love just as much as my dog and movies, but I feel like I don't tend to talk about as much, is people. Our relationships to others and what we mean to each other truly is really the only reason that this life means anything at all. At the end of the day, everything comes back to people, and it's those we meet, it's those we haven't met yet, it's everything. And again, I'm like tend to be not too earnest, like kind of on the internet and things, but I feel so strongly about that. I believe that we are here for our relationships with other people. We're here for each other, and that's why this life means so much and why it's so important. Okay, so now enter this idea I had months ago for this little baby podcast, and I haven't been able to think about anything since. So it's really, to me, it comes down to, it's the intersection of film analysis and people. And as much as I do love watching movies critically and being a little bit admittedly pretentious about how good a movie's pacing is, or writing, or how bad the editing is, or being annoying and using words like pacing and cinematography and things like that. When I recently watched a movie and I'm talking about it, I know that most people don't watch movies like that. I know that that's not how kind of just the general public are watching movies. And that's totally fine. But I don't care who you are. Everyone has favorite movies. Everyone has movies that they love and that mean so much to them, and that they have special experiences with movies. And so that was kind of my idea. Everyone in the world has a movie that means a lot to them for whatever reason. So like I mentioned, this isn't going to be a movie review podcast, and I'm sure there might be like kind of pieces of that as like me and guests talk about certain things. But really what I wanted to do is create a kind of a show where everyone can enjoy just talking about movies with me. Not everyone understands things like what a split diopter shot is, but you don't have to be a film critic to know what something means to you and why something is special. And I think it's through stories like these, and the things, against experiences that we have had that have been really special to us, that help us connect to each other. And I just don't think there's anything else that's more important than that right now, especially at this point in time. So allow me just a second to tell you about movies and the people that love them as a show. So like I touched on kind of briefly, put very simply, cut this. Let's see. Okay, so movies and the people that love them as a show. Every week, I can do it every week. I know I can do it. I'm going to do my very best with releases. I'm prepared. I can do this. Here we have movies and the people that love them as a show. Every week, as best as I can possibly make it happen. I think I can do it. I've really been planning a lot and talking a lot and trying to figure this out. But every week, I decided on Tuesdays because that was, I maintain this. I think Tuesdays are the worst day of the week. You're not recharged from the weekend anymore. You know, you've gone through Monday, but you still have literally the rest of the week to go through. Anyways, Tuesdays are the worst day of the week. And so with new episodes releasing on Tuesdays, I'm going to have a guest on the show where they will share with me their 4 favorite movies. And then we'll just have a conversation about what makes those 4 special to them. And then when I say a couple things, when I say guest, I really do mean literally anyone, friend, family member, distant acquaintance, etc. If I can even figure out like logistically and like safety, like wise, I would really even love to have strangers on the podcast and come and talk to me. As my mom loves to point out, and we sometimes tease her for it, she'll always say, everyone has a story. And we always tease her for it, but it's true. You're right. As usual, and about most things, because I really do. Everyone has a story and I want to hear them all. And I hope you do too. But also simply, I don't want to be killed. So that's like the safety and like logistics part of it. Anyways, I'll figure that part out. But I do mean any guest. And then when I say 4 favorite movies also, I don't even mean I don't even mean like this has to be your top 4 favorite of all time. Like, no question. I don't know. That's a hard question to answer anyways. Like, what's your favorite movie just in general? I just want to hear about any 4 movies that are special to you. It could be about anything. They could be the worst rated movies that any critic has ever heard of. They can be your favorites of that month. They could be your childhood favorites for different reasons. Like you had a special experience with this person or a special experience in the theater. Like, I want to hear about it. I think that's the most fun thing to talk about. There really are no qualifiers, but that's just kind of what we're talking about. And I still want to be able to watch and like rewatch them with you if possible. So, and have you tell me all about them. So in just a second, I'm going to kick off this inaugural episode by sharing my 4 favorites that I've chosen to talk about. And this was a battle. Let me just tell you, I love movies so much that I think I have many very, very special experiences and many favorites, that it was hard to narrow down. I had so many I wanted to talk about. So again, maybe I can do solo episodes and like talk about some more, but, I have narrowed it down. I feel really good about my 4 that I want to share with you and like the reasons why. So I'll share about that, but really fast, I just want to talk about why I feel very like driven to start this podcast at this moment in time. And it's meaningful to me, especially because this like drive and this like desire to start this has lasted so long. I have ADHD. I'm medicated for it. Like, but if you're a part of that community and you get me and you know that, and you know how it feels, you know that like, boy, you start out really hot and heavy with an idea or a hobby or something, and then you go so hard and you spend so much money and you are like so hyper fixated on it for a week, 2 weeks, maybe. And this just has lasted months, and I feel like really, I don't know, it feels really special to me and I feel really drawn to it. So I just want to talk about why for a second. Like I briefly mentioned before, this is a tumultuous time that we live in. There's no question about that. Capitalism is a disease that is infecting us, whether we like it or not, constantly. We are surrounded by violence, political, social discrimination. It seems to grow every day. Generative AI slop is clogging just every waking aspect of our lives. And I think that we as a people and as humanity have never been quite so disconnected to each other. And I'm sick of it. All of it. I'm so sick of it. I really like to consider myself an optimist. It's actually really and truly, it's like one of my favorite things about myself, I would say. Even when it's really hard to see the best and I'm not perfect at it, I do think I'm an optimist, and I think I'm the happiest and the most able to feel hopeful and the strongest, I would say. I think when we feel hope is when we are the strongest. But I think I feel those things when I choose to focus anywhere but like on myself, and when I choose to focus on other people and to turn outwards. When I focus on my friends and my family and my village and my community and just people around me, I just believe that I believe to my core truly that choosing each other and choosing to foster connection with other people, even if we don't know them yet, is what is going to save us over and over and over again. And in fact, I think it is the only thing that is going to save us. It is the only remedy to every problem that we are facing. I don't know, even if that sounds a little simplistic, I do believe that at the end of the day, that's what saves us. And so really, I just hope and pray that this silly little baby podcast could just be a tiny little corner, and a tiny little place where that can be fostered between us. So yeah, I'm really excited. But okay, I've been rambling for literally 100 years and I haven't even gotten to my top 4 yet. So without further ado, let me tell you about 4 of my favorite movies, not my 4 favorites, to be fair, and why I love them so much. I'm going to try my best to just kind of stay away from spoilers in general, but I'll warn you if there's one coming. I don't think there's any. I'll warn you if there is. And you can just skip ahead like 30 seconds or something. If there's also no particular ranking just as far as like the order is concerned, of like what I'm going to talk about them. So yeah, let's get into it. Okay. I figured I would start out the first movie I was going to talk about by telling you about one of the very earliest movies that I can remember truly like loving with my whole heart. And by that, I mean like obsessing over, hyperfixating on, speaking of ADHD. And that is The Princess Diaries by Gary Marshall. Oh, I love this movie. I was 5 years old when this came out. So obviously like I had, consciousness and memories before then, but I loved this movie so much and so deeply that it feels like such an all-encompassing part of my childhood that I don't know, I struggle to remember what I loved like before it. You know what I mean? If you had somehow not had the privilege of watching it, this movie is about a high school girl. Her name is Mia. She's visited by her distant and like somewhat estranged grandmother, who tells her that she is royalty. She's a princess of a small, tragically fictional European country called Genovia. Mia is just like awkward and shy and uncomfortable. And initially she immediately like rejects the crown and she says, no, she's not going to do it. And then she agrees to take princess lessons with her grandma. And by the end of the princess lessons, by this huge ball that they were going to have, that she would make a decision and either accept or reject the crown. So that's kind of the whole movie. That's what they go through. And I feel like people say this all the time in regards to like Harry Potter, and they're like, oh, I'm still waiting on my Hogwarts letter. But I like, honestly, this movie had me genuinely thinking that this was like a real possibility of something that could happen to me. And it like, it happened to people all the time. And like that really, it was just a matter of time before I was going to be a princess. And again, I know that sounds cheesy, but like, that's how I felt. And I swear I'm being so serious. I still kind of wish it had happened, to be honest. I think a lot of things in my life would be different, but that's fine. I can't even tell you exactly what it is about this movie that like just spoke to me so deeply as a child. The makeover scene is always a highlight of any movie, even if in general makeup scenes are like, I don't know, a little degrading when you think about it. Maybe that's like too woke of an opinion, but I think we've like come to that now and kind of realized it. But it's such a fun part. And I think what I remember so much about this movie was like, it was the first example of quote unquote cool that I can like really recall actually adopting and like trying to emulate and like become in my life. And the cool that I'm talking about was not the cheerleader Lana, who is like, stereotypical mean girl, the kind of stereotypical cool. It was Mia, like, again, the awkward, shy, uncomfortable girl that I was talking about earlier. She's kind of like this nerd who's supposed to be a huge outcast. She throws up in debate class. She just like cannot handle herself socially to save her life. And I just thought she was so cool. When it shows her for the very first time, it's literally the opening scene of the movie. It's pre-makeover where they like blow out her hair and straighten her. She looks beautiful, but she looked beautiful before. And that's my point, is when it shows her for the first time in the opening scene, I literally remember as a kid watching that and be like, she's so pretty. Like the first time it ever even shows her on screen. And she has really like curly, really frizzy hair. It's pretty big. It's like very voluminous. But I just remember thinking she was so pretty. And when I was a kid, I had curly, frizzy hair. Now that I now love, truly, you can't tell it's in a slick back, but I do now love my hair. But during the times of my life when I hated my hair, when I hated my curls and the texture and the frizz, I always kind of came back to Mia, and I remembered how cool that I thought Mia always was, and that my hair looked like hers. Like, how lucky am I? What could I possibly have to be embarrassed about? Who was I to not like my hair when I loved hers and we looked the same? Like, how lucky am I? How lucky was I to have curls like hers? I just really have a million memories of Princess Diaries. My best friend at the time, her name was Madison. I don't know if she's going to hear this, but shout out to Madison if you hear this. We would spend hours acting out this movie and recreating our favorite scenes. I have like such clear memories of us sitting in her bathroom and trying to move our feet in the exact same way that Mia did when she's like trying on a heel. My dad speaks Spanish, and so we would always like be on him and begging him for some reason to sing the song Miracles Happen by Myra in Spanish. Again, I don't know why, but I loved it. It was just everything to me. I would also beg and plead with my parents constantly to film me and my sister on the camcorder, doing our own cable show like Mia's friend Lily does in the movie. I'm sure we still have those videos somewhere, honestly. I should look. And yeah, I just don't even remember being jealous of how Mia wore a retainer. Like thinking that the way that she put it in and her lisp, I'm not even kidding, when like the lisp that she has when she puts in her retainer was so cool. And I just remember like trying to make one out of tinfoil, which is not good for your teeth, obviously, in hindsight. Again, I just really, anything that Mia did, I wanted to do. I thought she was the coolest girl ever. And, now that I'm older and grown up, my frontal lobe is fully developed. I feel like, I have to say, I really could have chosen way worse role models to try to emulate in my life than as a kid, So that's The Princess Diaries. I love her still. Number 2, my second movie I want to talk about is Baby Driver by Edgar Wright was the director. So this is the movie, harken back, if you will, to when I said that I kind of had a spiritual awakening about kind of concerning movies. This is the movie that I was talking about that did it for me. Picture this, okay? It's summer 2017. I am fresh off of an LDS mission, and I'm talking like, I don't know, a month or two, fresh off, like brand new home, where if you're unfamiliar, on an LDS mission, you are not allowed to watch any movies at all. Really, you're not allowed to take in kind of any secular media. And I'm not joking at all. So like I quite literally had just gone 18 straight months without seeing a single movie or just like, again, any type of media that wasn't missionary approved. I had seen a couple movies since being home, but I went to see this one on a date with a friend. I genuinely didn't know a single thing about it. I just remember that my friend thought that it looked really awesome from the trailer, and I said, sure, why the hell not? So let's go and see it. Wait, actually, I remember that they put the first 6 minutes of this movie on YouTube as like kind of just like promo and like marketing for it. And I don't remember if I had seen that before or after. I don't think I had seen, what? It doesn't matter. Anyways, okay. Premise of Baby Driver. So it's this young man who, I don't know. The cast has not aged well. Can I just say, okay. So just keep that in mind. There's no endorsement of actions that, I don't know, people in these movies may or may not have done. I just want to say that, but it follows this young man who he kind of fell in with the wrong crowd when he was younger. He's a really amazing driver, and he has a tinnitus. So actually, before I get to that, he helps criminals with robberies by being their getaway driver until his kind of debts are repaid from when he kind of fell in with this bad crowd. So he has tinnitus, like I was saying. He always has headphones in, and he's always listening to music to essentially drown out the ringing in his ears. And what makes this movie just so much cooler than it even sounds is the sound design of it. So whatever music you're hearing in the movie itself, whatever like the soundtrack is, literally is what the main character is hearing in his headphones. And everything is literally so perfectly synced up with the music and the different beats. Where you going, sis? She is out of here. And the different beats. So for example, like literal car chases and like gun shootouts and the sounds of like bundles and stacks of money are perfectly, like stacking on a table, are perfectly choreographed to the soundtrack. Oh, it's so cool. I'm like thinking about it right now. Edgar Wright, the director, is also just so visually aware. He's like a very visually aware director, and he loves to make things. He's like a guy who just loves to kind of stylize everything and make things look, better than they ever really needed to be. And so the whole movie really is just such a sensory treat. It is so fun to watch. It's beautiful. It's engaging. It's exciting, and it's intense, and it's romantic. And really, like, I wouldn't even say that it's a perfect movie. I think there's, maybe criticisms to be had, but I was genuinely so mesmerized when I saw it for the first time. It was the first time that I had ever really considered that movies can be art. Like, it's not just something that I can watch half-heartedly, forget about in a couple weeks. Like, they're in their own right. It's art. And every time I've rewatched it since, it just makes me think of that first time and how it made me feel. And a funny thing about this movie also is that I loved it so much and it impacted me so much that first time that I saw it on 3 other separate dates because I couldn't get enough of it. So shout out to those 4 boys, truly. Love you guys. Couldn't have done it without you. And I'm grateful for you. Okay, number 3 is, I love these movies so much I get like excited to see them when I see them on my notes. Okay, so this number 4 is Mad Max Fury Road, which was directed by George Miller. Kind of don't even know what to say about this one. I feel like I should probably keep it short and sweet because, like, again, how do I explain Mad Max Fury Road? But I also feel like that's not going to happen because I love to chat. It's technically a sequel to the Mad Max movies that came out in like the 80s-ish, but really it can be viewed as a standalone film, and that's how I saw it. I actually have still never seen the original Mad Max movies, which I will. Okay, I know. Blind spot, we all have them. But I think I'm going to have like the hardest time of all of these giving kind of just like the elevator pitch of what this movie's about. Put very simply, as much as like simply as I possibly can. So Mad Max Fury Road takes place in post-apocalyptic Australia, and at some point in the future where the entire world has essentially run out of water. Okay. It's like such a scarce commodity. And long story short, Charlize Theron, I don't know why I said it like that. Charlize Theron and Tom Hardy team up against a dictator who hoards fresh water and resources from his people. And anyways, they're kind of trying to bring peace and order to Australia, to this post-apocalyptic world. If that doesn't intrigue you, perhaps characters that are named things like Imperator Furiosa, Toast the Knowing, Rictus Erectus, I'm not kidding, that's a real one, Nux Immortan Joe, Max Rockatansky, the People Eater, perhaps that will intrigue you. And if that's not enough, if those insane names aren't enough, perhaps a promise of like the wildest practical effects you've probably ever seen will entice you. Or perhaps it will be the most concise and poignant and meaningful feminist message I've ever seen in a movie. If for some reason that point is scaring you off, it shouldn't, okay? But if it is, fear not, you probably won't even notice the message if you're not, kind of looking for it, and if it's not something that you feel strongly about. But again, I do, and you should. I digress. If all of that isn't enough, please let a car chase through a desert featuring a man playing an electric guitar, like flying off of this insane vehicle with actual flames, shooting out the end of it, and knowing that it was like all practical effects, that he really did that, and there was actual like flame shooting out of this guitar. Oh, it's so amazing. Please let that be what finally gets you to watch this movie. Look at me. Trust me. I would never lie to you. Everyone loves this movie. It is so good. Even my parents love this movie, okay? And my parents think I watch insane stuff all the time, but they loved it. Trust me, okay? The reason that I love this movie so deeply is because of the people that I've shared my favorite viewings of it with. So I saw it for the first time a few years after it came out. It actually came out during my LDS mission that I mentioned before. So I missed it, the like kind of initial runtime. I saw it by myself. I loved it immediately, thought it was perfect. I watched it a few times after that, I think with like friends and roommates, and still loved it every time. But my favorite viewing of it, and the one that made the movie in general kind of mean more to me, and the one I'm going to tell you about, is it happened. Oh my gosh, I have it written down. It happened on May 19th, 2024. And I know the specific date of that because I literally meticulously log freaking everything on Letterboxd. I was in my second to last semester of college, and it's a long story. I had tried to be able to finish everything I needed for my degree online, but unfortunately I needed to be able to go back to campus for a couple of semesters to be able to finish everything. And tragically that meant living in student housing. And at my big age of 28, that was just the last thing that I wanted to do. all of my friends in this little college town had long graduated. Really, the only people that I knew there were my brother and sister-in-law. And uh, it was my younger brother, McKay, and then his wife, Camille. And so he was also a student. She had graduated, but they lived there, and I'm really lucky. And I think me and all of my siblings are really quite close. I love them a lot, and we get along really well. So it was already fun to hang out with them. But we started doing this weekly movie night that we affectionately nicknamed RFC, which stands for. Actually, I probably shouldn't like name the actual little town name because I still live there. So redacted city name, film club, RFC. And this is how it worked. So we would all come with 3 nominations for the night. And the best part is that they could like literally be anything. And we kind of all varied in our nominations, but my brother was an illustration major and he tended to choose animated movies. My sister-in-law would usually choose very, very obscure, like movies that usually she had never even seen, and like ones that we had also for sure never seen otherwise. But my choices almost always tended to be the movies that I had indeed seen before and that I knew were bangers, okay? That I knew they were going to love. So after we announced our noms, like this is how it would work. After we announced our noms, we would put them on like just like a random like wheel generator that we found online. So we type them all in, it would choose a movie for us. And it was so fun. It was the best. We were always so excited to see not only just like what each other's like noms would be, but also just to see what we were going to watch for that night. It completely eliminated the absolute hellish situation that is trying to choose a movie for movie night with more than yourself. It's always such an impossible discussion, and it's because it chose for us. But I'm thrilled to announce that Mad Max Fury Road was indeed my nomination. I knew they were gonna love it. Anyways, this was right before the prequel that was called Furiosa came out, and I just wanted to rewatch it so bad, but I really wanted to rewatch it with them. We all had tickets to go see Furiosa later that week, and I really wanted them to see it before. So I ended up using literally all 3 of my nominations to like hopefully up my chances of getting it picked. Genuinely, all of us really wanted to watch it because I had been like talking it up, I'd built it up like crazy, like I'm literally doing as we speak. But we all wanted to watch it. And so, yeah, we spun the wheel. It didn't wait. Actually, if I'm remembering also, I think Camille had used one of her noms to like also give it kind of more chances. So anyways, we spin the wheel. It does not get picked. We kind of like looked at each other and just like quietly spun it again, and it still didn't get picked. And then literally we spun it like 2 more times after that, and it still didn't get picked. And we were like, forget the wheel. We're making an executive decision. We want to watch Mad Max Fury Road. And McKay and Camille loved it, just like I knew they would. McKay sometimes will gauge how like enthralling and exciting a movie is by if he needed to like stand up to take it all in, because he was just getting too into it to like sit down and like take it because of all the energy and stuff that he was feeling. And he did indeed stand up big time. And I just like, it was such a tender memory, and it was so much fun to experience it with them. And it's just, again, it's such a special movie in general, and to be able to feel that with them was so much fun, because like really who among us has not had a similar experience? I just have zero. Stop. Don't do that. Not on camera. Sorry. Nova's licking herself. Anyways, I just have no doubt in the world that everyone has had an experience where you're showing some people something that you love so deeply, and you know that they'll love it too. And that's what makes it, honestly, I think even more exciting. There's no feeling like watching them experience like the exciting moments and the plot points that that are just going to blow them away. There's nothing like watching them experience that and to be able to feel it the way that you felt it. And it's just so exciting. It's almost like watching it again for the first time. I feel like that's the closest thing you can get, is watching other people watch something that you love so much for the first time. And just, feel that satisfaction of them experiencing it in the way that you were also anticipating them to experience it, I've since graduated and I've moved, so RFC doesn't happen as much as it used to, or as much as I think we want it to, but we still do it whenever we can, whenever we visit each other, whenever we're in the same place, because it's just so much fun. But that night remains maybe one of my favorite RFCs of all time. It was just so fun. So number 4, okay. And I said, oh gosh, I said that this was the movies that I picked were in kind of no particular order as far as ranking goes. Also, I hope I'm like holding this okay. I talk a lot with my hands. I'm trying to talk into the mic, but I'm sorry for any moments that I've had that I've moved it. It gets a little quieter. I'm doing my best. Like I said, I'll learn. Anyways, I said they were in no particular order, but I think I lied because I think this is my favorite movie. Okay, and it is Lady Bird. And Greta Gerwig was the director. This is my favorite movie. Oh, I love it so much. I feel like I don't. Well, maybe I do. I don't know. I feel like I might not talk about it as often as I talk about other movies, but this is the movie that I turn on when I am like genuinely in any mood. It doesn't even matter the mood. When I'm having the worst week that anyone could imagine, just feeling like I'm in the depths of hell, on goes Lady Bird. When I am perfectly content with my life, when I am feeling hopeful and excited about the future, on goes Lady Bird. Like, it really is like a movie for everything for me. I've seen it more times than I can count, and I do probably know most, if not all of it, by heart. I'm very annoying to watch it with. I'm so sorry, but I don't know, because I just know the whole thing. I love it. It's also kind of funny because I saw it in theaters with my sister the very first time I saw it, like right when it came out, and I honestly like didn't care for it that much. I don't know, kind of speaking of the whole build-up thing, I think it was just too built up for me. It was getting such insane reviews. I think the Rotten Tomatoes score was like 100 or 99 or something insane like that. And I was just kind of expecting it to change my life, raise my credit score, clear my skin, like all this stuff. And then I was like a little bit disappointed when it didn't. However, then I saw it. I did like it. I want to be clear. I did like it. It just didn't like blow me away. Then I saw it again. And then again and again and again, and I've kind of never stopped. And I was just like, oh, I think this is the best movie of all time. And honestly, I think it kind of has changed my life now. Like at this point, maybe it didn't then, but I kind of feel like it has now. Lady Bird is about another high school senior, a girl named Lady Bird, which is a name she gives herself. Her real name's Christine. She lives in Sacramento, California, and that's kind of it, really. It's a movie. I feel like, I don't know, there's a certain crowd that might get mad when I say this, but it's a kind of a movie about nothing. But I mean that as a compliment, and I mean that in the best way. It's not literally about nothing, but I mean that it is a movie that is more driven by character developments and relationships rather than relying on different things happening in the plot to like drive it forward. So Saoirse Ronan plays the titular role, which is an iconic line from the movie. You'll know if you've seen it. And we kind of really just like experience living life with her as she approaches graduation, as she prepares for college. And we see her experience a ton of firsts, like jobs, boyfriends, breakups, friend fallouts, all these things. And I would say the shining center of this movie is Lady Bird's relationship with her mom. Really, if it's about Lady Bird and her mom, really is what this movie is about. It's her mom's name is Marion, and their relationship is just full of all these ebbs and flows. They're such extremely similar people. And the movie kind of explores this. They're so strong-willed and they are stubborn and they feel things very deeply. And they both like kind of don't know how to handle that in each other. And so in turn, wait, what am I saying? So sorry, I lost my place in my notes. They snap at each other. They fight. They are like constantly just like frustrated of each other, but they also are constantly like kind of defending each other and sticking up for each other and speaking highly of each other and making sacrifices for each other. And it's like it reminds me so much of my relationship with my mom when I was in high school. And I like hesitate to say that sometimes because I want to make it clear that my mom was never as intense or as mean as Marion can be. And again, it's that she's a very nuanced and very deeply developed character that being mean feels, it feels very reductive to say. So anyways, so she was never like that. However, I just mean me when I say it. This reminds me of my relationship with my mom, because I know that I could and was for sure just as beastly as Lady Bird was at some points. One of the opening scenes, for example, is Lady Bird and her mom, and they're driving home from their college road trip, and they finish their audiobook, and they're like emotional. They like loved this book so much. It was John Steinbeck. They're just visibly emotional. They're crying, teary-eyed and kind of sniffly, and Lady Bird goes to turn off the audiobook, and they kind of, laugh about how much they loved it. They have a nice moment, and she immediately goes to turn on the radio, and Marion goes, "Oh, let's just wait. Why don't we just sit with what we heard? Do we have to be constantly entertaining ourselves the whole time?" And Lady Bird, it's like, I'm not even kidding. It's like in an instant, like a switch goes off. She turns just instantly annoyed, and out of literally nowhere she's like, "Are you serious?" And Marion's like, "Yeah, just like, let's sit with what we heard." And Lady Bird is so beyond irritated by such it's such an innocent sentiment, truly, from her mom. And it like blows up into this big thing, this big argument. There's like immediate tension, and they both are just so on edge and snapping at each other like right away, literally out of nowhere. And once again, I'm only speaking about my own previous behavior and not my mom's. She's the best mom in the world. If you know her, you know that that's true. Like, she's just the best. But I can't tell you how many times I got so irritated with her over literally nothing. And yeah, Mom, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. I love you so much. The whole thing just kind of made the whole movie, really, and like why it means so much to me. Part of the reason it means so much to me for so many reasons. Part of the reason is it just made me see my mom and genuinely everyone around me with like so much grace. I feel like we don't often kind of think about this for a lot, but really, like, we are all living this life for the very first time. Our parents are living this life for the very first time. This is their first time being parents and trying to like raise children. And it's so hard. We all have our own issues we're dealing with. We are trying to learn and we're trying to do our best. And it's just such a good reminder to me of that every time I watch it. So yeah, don't worry. This isn't a spoiler. This, I think, is, I don't know, well known about the movie, I think. Lady Bird and her mom like kind of work things out, and they learn how to like appreciate each other better, but you'll have to watch it to see kind of how they go about that. Greta Gerwig she's just my favorite director of all time. She's so talented. She has such a beautiful way of capturing people, and I think showcasing individuality, and why we're also deeply important literally as people. And in very quiet moments, and even like quick scenes that are never like over expository. Yeah. Oh, no, over exposition-y, whatever. You know what I'm trying to say? That like don't ever explain like over too much. She just gives so much empathy and so much grace to every character. And she's so good at it. So for example, just the biggest douchebag of a character is played by Timothée Chalamet. It was like one of his earlier roles, honestly, kind of before he broke out. And gosh, he's so funny. He's so funny in this movie. As Lady Bird is like leaving his apartment, his house at one point, I'm sorry, they're like kind of dating. Anyways, but as she's leaving his house by herself, I just also add, he couldn't even like walk her to the door, whatever. Anyway, she like looks in the living room and she sees his dad, and he has fallen asleep like in a recliner, and he's just hooked up to all these wires, and like there's medications everywhere. And like we remember that Timothée Chalamet's character before has told her that his dad has cancer. And so even just like literally in this like blink of an eye scene, we just get a little bit of context for this boy and like, I don't know, this terrible boy who's dealing with something really difficult. And we just kind of like get a little bit of a glimpse of understanding and just a small moment of space to feel something for him, when really I think it kind of was before difficult to feel something for him before and to kind of give him any kind of empathy. And so that's something else I love about this movie. The movie's entire thesis is, to me, it kind of rests in a scene where Lady Bird's talking to her high school principal about a college application essay that she wrote. And I am kind of going to read this a little bit because I don't want to mess it up. But, oh, actually, I don't even know if this is in frame. It's over there, framed on my wall. I love it so much. This scene is. Anyway, so she wrote this essay about her hometown, and her principal says, "You clearly love Sacramento." And Lady Bird says, "I do." And her principal says, "You talk about it so affectionately and with such care." And Lady Bird says, she's like kind of nonchalantly, she says, "I was just describing it. I guess I pay attention." And her principal says, "Don't you think that maybe they are the same thing? Love and attention." Oh, not me getting a little choked up about that. But that's like genuinely all it is to me. That's what it's all about. And whether it's Lady Bird and Marion to each other, whether it's each of us to the people that matter the most in our lives, we show love to people and each other by paying attention to them and the things that matter the most to them, by noticing and by remembering the things that they care about. And this movie just really also reminds me that things get better. That's another. I'm going to stop talking about Lady Bird in a second, I swear. This is just the last thing I want to mention, but it's such a good reminder to me that things get better. Lady Bird is at the age that we have all been at. And if you're not there yet, you're going to get there. You're going to feel it like, and many of us have gone past it, thank goodness. But she's at the age where everything that goes even a little bit wrong in her life feels like the end of the world. And again, I know we've all been there. And now being past that, for the most part, in my own life, it's such a beautiful movie to be able to watch that. And it shows that things actually do keep getting better. Like, these awful moments happen, but like the cameras keep rolling, like things keep moving and things keep getting better. And the thing that you thought was going to kill you didn't. And I don't know, just the world keeps turning and things actually usually turn out better than you think they will. And I don't know. I just need that reminder pretty much every day still. Even now, I could talk about Lady Bird for hours. Jeez. But no one's ever going to listen to this podcast if I do. So I'll chill and I'll be done with Lady Bird. But if you want to talk about it more, let me know. I love it so much. Okay, that was so fun. So I don't know. I feel like I haven't come up with any kind of like snappy way to end these yet, or like an outro or anything, or if I even need one. But I just want to say, for anyone who listened to this episode and heard me get maybe the cheesiest and earnest you'll ever hear me get, I can't thank you enough. Truly, I'm genuinely so excited about this, and I'm so excited for the movies that I'm going to get to watch. I'm so excited for the people that I will get to meet that I probably never would be able to meet or have conversations with otherwise. I'm just excited to be introduced to new things. So it's going to be so fun. If you're listening to this right now, I want you to be a guest, and I'm so serious. I can't really think of like any stipulations I have, or like prerequisites or like requirements. I don't know. Maybe I'll come up with some of it as I do this longer, but as of right now, I don't think I have any. Anyone and everyone, I want you to be on my podcast. Come on my podcast. I'm going to ask, there's plenty of people that I want to ask like personally to be guests and that I'm thinking of that will be so fun. But if you're listening and I miss you, or if you're listening and we don't know each other and this sounds fun to you, there is a link in my Instagram bio and saved in the highlights as well. If I can freaking get my TikTok up and running, it will be there. It'll be in the show notes. Anyways, it's a link to it, just a very simple little form. I think it's like 3 questions or something that you can submit, and we can have you on the show. I literally think all it asks for is like your name, what movies you would watch, because if I can, I want to rewatch them with you in like preparation to talk about it. And like how to DM or email you or something to get a hold of you, to contact you so we can schedule something. But if there's someone you can even think about, if there's someone that you think would want to be on the show that you think would be fun, feel free to like send it to them. I want you to be on this podcast. If you're hearing this, I want you to be on this podcast, and I think it's going to be so fun. So I will see you on Tuesday with the next episode. In the meantime, watch some good movies, spend time with people you care about. Thank you again for listening. I love you. I can't wait for next time. Have a great day.